the studio with me, I have the amazing Dr. Stroman today as our special guest host, along with A-Town helping us out in the studio. So we are excited. It is fantastic. Funky Friday.
Hello.
You just heard the funkiness of Keith Sweat.
Yes.
I want taking us back. So, Dr. Stroman, thanks again for being with us on today. Before the break, we were talking about the impact of Coach Dawn Staley. I wanted to unpack that a little bit more because it's so much impact that she has on women's basketball now and how it's changed.
She is that influencer. She is that impact coach. And it starts with her pedigree. She is a Philly girl, and I'm very, very blessed to share the same court, the same coach at the University of Virginia, Hall of Famer Debbie Ryan. Then she does good. She goes into the WNBA, and for those of us here in North Carolina, remember that she was a part of the Charlotte Sting when we had a franchise in Charlotte. And then she goes and represents us well at the Olympics, and she was a torchbearer as well. So she's done so much. And then, of course, she gets the opportunity to coach at her home school in the sense of Temple in Philadelphia. And then South Carolina makes a bid.
Right.
And there's a lot of concern to this day in the UVA fandom that Dawn Staley should be our coach. But we missed that window. We missed that opportunity. Right. And South Carolina has football money that Virginia doesn't. And she has roots in South Carolina. Some of her people are in South Carolina, so she decided to take her talents there.
It made sense.
Yes, and the rest is history. Look what she's built. She's a very kind person. She's an introvert, very kind. But when she won that first championship and then cut the net and sent a piece to every black head coach in women's basketball saying, I am you, you are me. That's powerful.
That is powerful. And that's what I wanted our listeners and viewers to hear. I was reading last night up really late after, they had won and they were congratulating her for winning her 600th win. But it was like it's more to Dawn Staley than championships. And I was like, this is perfect because we got Dr. Stroman on tomorrow and she can expound on that. Is so true. That statement is more than just, she's brought more than just championships to women's basketball, from eyeballs, ticket sales, all of that. You talked about that, the increase in attendance and things like that, and just even men watching women play basketball. It's just amazing. So I wanted to, so thank you for unpacking that a little bit more, because when I saw that line, more than championships, I was like, yes, she's more than just championships.
For sure. I remember going to, 2 times where South Carolina's played at Duke, and watching the buses and buses of South Carolina fans that come. She's definitely changed Columbia, but when you can take 3, 4, 5 buses, the South Carolina Gamecocks Alumni Association here in Raleigh, they all rally and they go to the games. You see the grandmothers, the grandfathers with their grandchildren at the games. And then watching a tape of her interacting with the president of the university. And they're just like best buds. But she's really helped to put South Carolina, the university, on the map.
Awesome. So we're going to switch gears and talk about some men's basketball. But before we get into, so many big games this weekend in the ACC. One thing that happened yesterday, or announced yesterday, LSU was fined $100,000 by the SEC for court storming after they, of course, beat Kentucky, which was major, right? And fans went crazy and they stormed the court. Ever since, I guess it's been maybe a month ago when they did that in an hour game and Caitlin Clark got knocked down, which she could have got hurt really bad. And so, they put this rule together. But so it's $100,000 for the first time.
Ouch.
But guess what? So Kentucky might have lost the game, but the pockets got a little fat. Because the money goes to the opposite school. So the next time, if it happens again, it's $200,000, I think, and then up to $5,000 on the third offense.
This has been a problem for years on the men's side, and so we know we have those people, and generally they're senior citizens, right, in their little jackets and vests, trying to stop, a passionate, often intoxicated 20-year-old rushing the court. So there have been ways to deal with this. There are some coaches, and we know there's been some controversy in the past where the coaches will actually remove their team early, or the stars will start heading to the locker room.
Right, for safety,
For
right.
safety reasons. And people say, oh, that's so unsportsmanlike. You should stay there till the end. But when you think about all those people rushing with great passion to get to the center court and to touch their favorite players, it is pretty dangerous. I don't necessarily like the idea of a fine. I wish there was something we could do to encourage the administrations to be more creative, more imaginative in terms of how we can regulate this. Can we have something where it's just constantly reinforced? You do not go on the court until the opposing team has left the court, or both teams have left the court. But sadly, this is going to make a difference. There's no doubt administrators are going to say, look, we're not going to be paying this money out. So they're going to try and control the students.
Right.
It's interesting, though, in football, it's not a problem because the football players have those pads on.
Exactly.
So you're going to get hurt.
You're right. It's the opposite.
It's the opposite.
Exactly. And then, when you think about it, as a fan or, attending the game, I don't care about fine. I'm not having to pay it. And in our minds, we think the schools have so much money anyway. So what? So it's like so what? Like, how is that going to stop, the fans from running out there? So like you said, it's got to be, more security. It's just got to be more creative ways, or it won't stop until it comes back on the attendee, really.
Well, here's the other option. Find a sponsor.
There
IBM, Pepsi, fan $100,000 fine sponsor, right?
Right.
To let your people run out and someone will pay it. But, it does go back to the danger here.
Yes.
But it's very, very exciting. In fact, I'll even reveal on air that one too many times I've been out on Franklin Street, and Pam, I even jumped the fire with the students.
Did you?
Yeah, I get excited. And next I'm like, I'm going for it too. And there's been just a few times, I'm already giving myself away. There's just been a few times where the students have said, that's Dr. Stroman. I'm trying to be incognito, but I'm excited.
Wow. Well, I can say, so I went, I graduated from Carolina, and so on campus for 4 years. I mean, absolute maniac fan, but I never did that. Because I was afraid I would get trampled or something. Like, I never
so much
did
fun.
that.
Franklin Street,
I should be embarrassed to say that I
should.
never did that. Now, I spent a lot of time on Franklin Street and had to walk Franklin Street to get to my apartment, but I always avoided it during that time, and I never experienced Halloween on that day, because that's the same. It's packed. So I feel you making me feel bad now.
Yeah, you
so
missed
maybe
out on
I'll
some
go
true
should I go as an adult?
Absolutely. You've missed some true Carolina fandom. If you haven't rushed Franklin Street.
I didn't.
Now, I remember the original Halloween where we had triple the number of people who come today, and they had to, close it off and not let so many so-called outsiders come. But there's nothing like being up on Franklin Street after a big win, especially after Duke or the national championship, and just mingling with the people and screaming and hollering and again, jumping over the bonfire.
Man, they say check your circle. I must have had the wrong friends. Because nobody encouraged me to go do that. I would watch it, on the news and be like, and it was probably my mama. I said, you better not be out there.
Country girl in you.
That's the
See,
little
I'm from
country
Philly.
girl.
We just like run out in front of a car.
And I think it also has something to do with I live 30 minutes from Chapel Hill, so I've always been on Franklin Street from a teenager, doing things and stuff like that. So
you said doing what things?
Like there were lots of things, back then they had. So even at age, I think it was 15. I don't know what it's called now, but there was a place called Purdy's. So they had stuff for teenagers. So
are you trying to clear yourself?
Well,
that
no,
you weren't
I'm
in
saying
there illegally?
I went out there. So maybe you'll hear more about that after the break. What you got for me, Alex?